Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about this issue of people hoarding their artwork. People are making collections, series, all kinds of art, hiding it on their device or in their sketchbook and never sharing it. So you're wondering, how do I know this is happening? Because every single time I share a collection or a series, people tell me, oh, I have this many collections that I haven't launched, or I have this many cards that I haven't put out into the world. So I want to talk about that today, and we'll address some of the ways that I get around this and get those collections out into the world quickly and regularly, because that is what really creates traction in your art career. So let's dive right into it. I'm Liz Kohler Brown. I'm a surface designer and hand letterer who loves sharing my process and helping other creatives around the world find their style and sell their work. This issue has come up for me again recently because I decided to illustrate a picture book, and that will be coming up soon. I'll be sharing that process with you here on the channel, but I wanted to mention this because anyone that I have talked to about doing a picture book, almost everyone, has told me that they have started a picture book. And for some friends, that's like, I've written a story for it. For others, it's like, I've done the illustrations. For some, it's like, I've done all the thumbnails, I've mapped it all out. There are these beginnings of art and of a project, and they just aren't getting finished. And I even had one person tell me, well, good luck with that, Liz, because I started it and couldn't finish it because it's too hard. So good luck. And I was thinking, challenge accepted. I'm up for it. I know that creative projects are hard because I've finished many of them. And honestly, you guys, I don't have a huge problem with this because I am a bulldozer. I start projects and I have this desire to get them out into the world quickly. I launch it before I have a lot of time for doubt. So I do have a little bit of trouble relating with like a perfectionist who has this issue. But I know a lot of these people, and I have some of these tendencies as well, but I think over the years I've developed tools to fight back against them, and I want to share some of those with you today. The first one is doubt. This is a common problem that creatives face, and they might think something like, I started a collection or series, but I don't think it's good enough. I'm going to be honest here and tell you that when I start any collection or series, I don't think it's good enough. I always have that feeling of like, this might be a complete failure, but that doesn't mean it's not worth finishing. There is so much to learn in the process of finishing a collection, even if the results financially or how many people give you a heart on Instagram isn't the result that you wanted, you still learn so much by finishing a collection. So if nothing else, it's worth doing for the finishing alone. I just finished my recent pattern collection, Graham's House, which is all about crafting with my grandmother as a child. And I actually take you through this whole process of finishing the collection in my new class in my membership, which you can watch with a free trial to my membership. So go ahead below this video if you want to see my whole process from idea, trending topic, sketch, to finished inked files sent off to art licensors, ready to roll out the door. Check that out in my membership. My solution to this problem of doubt is distraction. I use music, audiobooks, or working in a busy cafe to distract from those doubting thoughts. You know when those thoughts are coming in because they often sound like someone else's voice, like, this isn't really good at all. This is a really bad idea. Nobody's gonna like this. This has already been done before. You know the line of thinking because you've heard it before, and so has anyone who's ever done a creative project. So in my mind, it's important to drown that out with things that are pleasurable and just let your body do the drawing. So if you're someone who struggles with those voices a lot, know that that's not your voice, that's other people's voices that have implanted in your mind, and you're listening to them while you're supposed to be enjoying your creative process. So tune those out, put on whatever you need to, or go wherever you need to not hear those voices, and keep working. I think another common problem is boredom. You start a big creative project and you enjoy all those fun parts like the sketching and the drawing, but now it's time to format files and choose final color versions and ship that work. I think that there's this false idea about being a creative that's like, if you unlock this magical world of being a full-time creative, you just get to have days of unending pleasure in your studio. Everything's perfect and wonderful, and it just feels so good to draw and be creative and just float around your studio like a butterfly. And it's just not the reality. I literally have a tiny house studio in the woods. I feel like I'm living my personal dream, and yet I still have to spend some days saving JPEGs and renaming them one after one after one. It could take hours. Reorganizing layers panels, renaming layers, all that boring stuff that's like, I don't want to do it. Nobody wants to do it, but it's worth the trade-off of getting to live the creative life that we want to live. So my solution for that is to build in rewards and celebration into your process. You can set up reward systems for yourself at each stage of your process. This could be a trip to somewhere special, it could be an edible treat, or it could be something like a road trip. Make this as big or small as you personally need to feel the effects of it, but it might look something like this. Once you finish all your sketches, you get to go to your favorite coffee shop and get a treat and take a big break. Once you finish inking, maybe you're gonna go lay on a blanket in the sun for an hour and read a book just for fun. You know, something that's like, when you finish this stage of the project, you get to do this. And you know, we're simple creatures. We love rewards. We love feeling like we're celebrating milestones. And I think that we often get in this kind of hamster wheel mentality when we're running creative businesses. Like, I always need to be moving on to the next thing and the next thing. And we don't take a moment to say, hey, I did that. I finished that, even when I didn't think I could, or maybe other people thought that I couldn't. I mean, people have already told me I can't finish my picture book and I haven't even started it yet. So we know that that doubt is out there coming after us, and it's our job to say, okay, I'm going to build in these enjoyable moments to celebrate that I'm finishing it. Whether or not anyone else knows about it, I don't care. I'm going to buy a box of delicious chocolates and go eat it out in the sun because I just finished inking. So something like that to really show your inner creative, that you're proud and you have finished something meaningful. Another problem I have noticed is protection. You love your work, you don't want to put it out there into the world where people will judge it harshly, so of course you just hide it where no one can see it. I used to struggle with this a lot, and I really felt the effects of all these eyes, especially in the internet age, all these eyes on my work judging it. Some people loved it, some people hated it, some people left negative comments. It happens all the time. And I now don't really care as much what people think. I do my work for me and for the people who buy it and love it. Everyone else, sorry, my work's not for you. It's just not going to work out between us. But I know in the beginning, this is a very powerful force that stops people from sharing their work. For me, the solution here is to know your job. Your job is to make more art and put it out into the world. You aren't the manager of other people's perceptions of your art, so turn off those comments if you need to. I still share my art with some friends and family members who say things like, what is that even for? Why would anyone even buy that? What kind of colors are those? Those are so weird. You always choose weird colors. Still, and you might look at me and think, oh, because you make money with your art, you must be successful and everyone loves your art. But the truth is, the more people who know about your art, the more people who don't like your art. So that audience only grows, unfortunately. As your positive audience grows, so does your negative one. So the key here know your job. Your job is not to manage other people's feelings. Your job is to make art. You're the artist, you're the creative. Stick to your job and stop trying to do other jobs like being people's personal counselor for what their beliefs are on art and why it's made and how it should look. So I hope that helps some of you who are struggling with that feeling of needing to protect your art from the world. Another problem, of course, is comparison. You don't want to release your work into the world because other people are already so-called doing it better. This has never been worse in all of human history because we have never been so hyper-connected to not only other artists around us, but every artist in the world who is online. And that is a scary prospect for a sensitive, creative soul, which many of us are. This issue of comparison, of course, it never goes away, no matter what level you're on. I remember even reading a book about some members of the Beatles who felt very annoyed that other top bands were getting slightly higher sales than them. I mean, this doesn't go away no matter what level you're on, but the key is to turn it off when you can and when you really need to, which is when you're in that sensitive period of finishing a creative project. So I call this going off grid because there will always be people who are making work better than us. Every artist faces this, but we don't have to have it in our face while we finish a big project. So go off grid, turn off those notifications, and go dark during those crucial times when you're feeling sensitive. For me, that means that I have a rule. I don't scroll while I'm working on a big collection. I don't even go to the home screen. I do post. I have like a schedule that I post on Instagram, but I don't go to the home screen and look at anyone else's posts. No hard feelings. Love my Instagram friends, love my other creative friends, but I don't want to see other people's great art while I'm finishing my project. I want to stay in my little creative world. And you know, artists for all of history have done this. They have gone to isolated areas, cabins in the woods with no power out in the wilderness to get some quiet from all of those forces in the world. So we don't all have access to that. I'm a mom. I don't get to go completely off grid, but I can control what comes into my brain through my own devices. So think about that next time you're in a creative project. Could you just go dark for a while you finish that project? Another problem I've noticed is that it's just not due. You aren't releasing your big project yet, but when that magical time appears in your lap where the perfect moment arrives, you will release it. We all know that that perfect moment never comes. Conditions are never perfect for releasing a new big creative project into the world. It's never going to feel like the right time, but the right time is as soon as you finish it and before you're ready to move on to that next project and before you start feeling like a little bit stale with the current project. I kind of get to this racing moment at the end of a big creative project, like, okay, it's starting to feel stale and boring and icky to me, and I need to get it out there and out of my hands before I decide that I don't want to do it anymore. So that's when I start kind of rushing towards the end goal. You may find that going a little bit faster as you get to the end can help you push through that kind of boring end point. But the most important thing here is to set deadlines. If you don't have a boss, you need to be your own boss and set deadlines. Without a clear date to finish something, it's easy to put it off for later. Before you know it, years have passed and you haven't finished your collections. Another problem I've noticed is over-editing. This is where you're going to keep working on this collection until it's a little bit better, and that moment will come any day now. You all know this feeling of like, okay, I could do one more thing. I could do one more color version. Maybe I need to tweak it again. Maybe I need to add one more pattern. I'll just put it off for later and finish that up later. Later never comes, right? We've all gotten stuck in this trap. This is where we need to accept diminishing returns. More time spent on a project does not necessarily equal more quality. Sometimes you're wasting time kicking the can rather than just calling it done. I think a lot of people think if they make this collection that's perfect, it's going to be more sellable and they're going to make more money. And I think the truth is that what's sellable is more collections. The more you make, the more power that builds in your brand, on your social media profiles, on your print-on-demand shops. This volume of collections is what is powerful. No one collection really means much at all. It just needs to get finished and out into the world. So that's where I recommend stop that obsession with over editing and just move on. I do share that whole process in my sellable collections class, and I have a whole checklist for you in that class where you can go through each step of the collection building process, from building it to critiquing your own collection and sending it out in the world. And you can actually check those little boxes off, which feels so good to see your progress and see how you're getting closer to that finish line. So remember, you can use that free trial right below this video to watch that class inside the membership. It's question time. Here is a question that was posted under my adult coloring pages video by Mary Sparkle Silver. I love your username, Mary. She says, "Hi Liz, do you show samples of how the coloring pages could look when colored? Is that a good idea or too much work? Thank you for your wonderful tutorials." Thank you, Mary. I'm so glad you're enjoying the tutorials, and I'm so glad you're gonna do some coloring pages. Those are super sellable. You can turn those into books, sell them on all kinds of platforms. If you guys want to learn more about that, put a comment below to let me know. Yes, I want to learn more about how to make sellable coloring pages. But for now, let's answer Mary's question. Mary, yes, I would definitely recommend demonstrating how these can be colored. The more bold and vibrant and eye-catching these are, the more they're going to get found on search, on social media, on Pinterest. What I would do if I were you and I was doing a coloring book is I would go ahead and design those pages, print them out, set up a beautiful scene with your camera on your desk with some pretty colors laid out, so it's a nice, bright, colorful scene with all kinds of, maybe even your coffee and a plant, and just show the scene that people would be experiencing when they're using your coloring book. Then just color a page, record the whole thing so people would know what it would look like to color the whole thing. You could share that, the stills from it, the video, different size clips on every platform: Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. You could run ads with it. You could post it on Amazon. Endless opportunities once you create that example of here's how you use my work. So awesome question, Mary. Please send me a link to your coloring book when you publish it. So I hope you all enjoyed this podcast style video. If you like these podcast style videos that have more business advice for artists, tell me in the comments. I want to know if you all are enjoying these and if I should do more of these. If you like this video, you may also like my best places to sell your art in 2025 video and my 5 digital art mistakes that every artist makes and how to avoid them.